Hey guys, this is Rian with Mom on Mission. If you're new here, I'm a Christ-following wife and a book-loving homeschool mom to 3 boys. So if you love all things homeschool, biblical womanhood, or book-related, you should subscribe down below and click that little notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Today is a collaboration hosted by Madison over at the Happiest Homeschooling. And she is a new friend of mine that I met through Instagram actually, and she is a fairly new YouTuber, but I really like everything I've seen of her so far. She's more Charlotte Mason leaning when it comes to homeschool method, and just really down to earth and fun to watch. So I will link her channel as well as the playlist down below so that you can see what other moms are doing to make an atmosphere of education in their home. And so that is what this collaboration is all about. So if you know anything about the Charlotte Mason method, you have probably heard the words atmosphere, discipline, and life. That is what education is. Education is not textbooks and curriculum. You are educated through your atmosphere, through discipline, and through life. And so I think kind of the theory behind this is that, I don't know who started this quote, but basically more is caught than taught. So you can sit there and teach your students things and they might pick up some of it, but if you just immerse them in those things and they see those things around them, they are a lot more apt to catch on to those things than if you're just speaking them to them or making them read them. But if you kind of just surround them and immerse them, then they're bound to catch some of it. And so I have 3 ways that we kind of make our home an atmosphere of education. Just 3 things that I tend to be more mindful of. And this is fairly new for me. I'm not a strictly Charlotte Mason homeschooler. I like a lot of her methods. Some of it I don't totally agree on, and that's okay. But I do appreciate a lot of what she had to say about educating children and education in general, actually. So here are 3 things that I do to help our atmosphere of education. My first thing is I never let the learning stop. Learning is not a 8 to 3 thing in our house. It's not a 10 to 2 thing in our house. It is something that I want to happen from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed at night. So we have very little just 100% free-for-all time in our home. And that is not saying that every moment of my children's day is scheduled out. That is just saying that I really try to encourage learning-based play even in their free time. And so we do that by minimizing electronics. I feel like there's very few people nowadays that just like let their kids have free reign on electronics, at least in the home education world. I think we've all seen the studies and realized like too much TV time, too much game time, whatever, is not good. It's not good for attitudes. It's not good for their brains. So that's kind of an obvious one. But even when it comes to like my toddler with his toys, I try to not let it be all push the button and make the sound type toys. Of course, those come into our home and that's fine. But really toys where he can manipulate things and learn things and not just find shiny buttons that he gets bored with soon. I like building toys. I encourage my kids to play outside as much as possible. We like anything to do with creating. They love to make comic books in their free time. We love to draw. So it's not school per se. I'm still letting them pick what they do, but I just try to encourage them to make it a learning-based play. And even today, that looked like using remote control cars, which you're like, that's an electronic. It is. But they were given these as a gift from a grandparent, and they really wanted to play with them. And so I said, okay, fine. But you know what they did? They didn't just zoom them around a little bit and then get tired of it and go do something else. They took their library books and other books and stacked them up and made ramps and made different obstacles to go around. And it's like, that's learning. So it doesn't have to be hard, but I just try to make learning happen all day long, even if they don't realize it's learning. And actually, that's the point. Let's see, number 2, I try to every day give room for curiosity. And so that means as we're talking, whether it be during school or whether it just be at the dinner table or whatever, I write down their questions, or I just make kind of a mental note of those questions. And if we're in a time where I can just pull out my phone and Google it real quick and we can figure it out, that's great. If not, then I will do that later. And then if it's something that they're still interested in after getting kind of that immediate answer that they were looking for, we'll go check out books at the library. We will watch a documentary about whatever that thing may be. And as we're reading, we read lots and lots of books. That's one thing that I love about the Charlotte Mason method. I ask a lot of questions, and not in a quiz type of way, but in a starting a conversation type of way. We like to have conversations about books. And so something that we've actually started recently is, instead of just after we're done reading a chapter discussing what we read, at dinner time, I'll say, hey Jude, what did you read today? And he'll tell us, and then we'll kind of, well, why did you like that? Or did you like that? How would you have changed that? And then me and my husband will even go, and I'll say, hey, I've been reading The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis, and here's what I think about it, and here's what I love about it, and here's how it applies to us today in America. And so it's just that rich environment of learning, even when we're eating dinner. And it doesn't feel like we're taking tests, we're doing worksheets, we're doing flashcards. It's simply just us talking. And typically about stuff that they want to talk about because they like reading, and so therefore when they talk about it, they get excited because it's usually, not always, but usually a book that they want to read as well. And then another way that I allow room for curiosity is I really do let them follow their interests. Now, not in everything. I don't simply pick a math curriculum based around what they like doing at the moment. I'm not an unschooler in that way. But I do, my oldest son especially is super into motors and cars and mechanic-y type stuff. And he always has been since he was 2. I know all little boys, or most little boys, kind of go through that car phase, but he has never gotten out of that car phase. And so, I'll check out books about mechanics, about engines, about different types of cars and how they design them. He watches documentaries on how cars are built and different things that they've done with cars over the years. And, I try to go on outings that, fit to my boys' interests. So yes, we all love nature, we all love hiking, but sometimes, we'll go to the monster truck rally, we'll go to whatever, because even though that seems kind of, that's not education, you're just watching monster trucks. But when that is their interest and when that is something they love, it's not going to stop at the monster truck rally. They're going to see something there because they're paying attention because it's something they think is really cool. And then they're going to go home and they're going to ask questions about it, and we're going to look up books and we're going to Google things, and, we're going to keep learning about that thing because it's something they love. And then the third way that I like to create an atmosphere of education within our home is I model what I want them to do. And my least favorite thing to hear growing up was do as I say, not as I do. And that just always irked me because I'm like, you're trying to hold me to a standard that you yourself can't hold yourself to. And even as an adult, I hate that. And I mean, I get it, like the whole learn from my mistakes thing. Like I, have made mistakes in my past and I don't want my children to do those. But as far as, if I want my child to be a good reader, he has to see me reading and see that I enjoy reading and that I make time for reading. And so whatever is important in your family culture, you need to make sure that you're modeling that for them so that you can keep that going. Because if they're just hearing you say, yes, we believe, for us, it's Christianity. If we, say we believe X, Y, Z, but we're never reading our Bibles, something's off there, one, for us as parents. But two, they're gonna be thinking, well, you're telling me this, but do you really believe it? And so I make sure that my kids do see me reading my Bible. My kids do see me reading good books. Yes, I read novels. Yes, I read things just for entertainment's sake, and I see nothing wrong with that. But make sure that they're seeing me when I'm reading books on homeschooling, books on personal development, books on spirituality, and all these different things. And I make sure that they are hearing worship music in our home, that they're hearing audiobooks being played. That's just me modeling what I do value, and that things that I want them to value as well. And then another way I model what I want them to learn is by minimizing my own time wasting habits that are not things that are glorifying to God, things that are, even if they're not bad things that are just sucking my time, aka this thing that I'm filming on right now, that lovely iPhone. And so there are times when my phone gets put up and I don't touch it, which can really aggravate some people because then I don't respond to texts. Sorry if you're watching this. But during certain hours of the day, I can't have my phone near, because I don't want to be the Facebook and the Instagram scrolling, because then not only is that wasting my time, but it's also showing my kids that that's what I value, and so that's what they should value too. And I don't like that. And then this also kind of ties into another way that I model what I want them to learn, is I try to join them in their curiosity. Now, I don't love monster trucks like my kids do. I don't love race cars and bugs like my kids do. But the last couple of years, I've gotten outside and dug around in the dirt and explored things more than I have since I was 8 or 9 years old, and just going to the creek with them and catching fish and nets and all this different stuff. Reading books with them about things that they want to read about, even if I don't really care about it. But just getting in there and joining them in their interests, as well as, joining them in the good and the beautiful things. Like I said, nature, music, and doing art with them. And it's, there's a time and a place for them to independently work on things and do things. But if I'm, in there doing it with them, they see that I find value in what they love too. And I find value in education. It's not just something I'm trying to force on them, but I enjoy it and I want to learn alongside them. And I think they really appreciate that. So I make learning happen sunrise to sunset. I give room for curiosity, and I model what I want them to learn. And that is how I make an atmosphere of education in my home. So please don't forget to check out this playlist down below so that you can see how other moms go about setting an atmosphere of education. And let me know down below some tips that you might have for doing the same. And definitely check out Madison's channel that I will link down below. If you haven't, please subscribe, and I will talk to you next time.